Remember that great song by the rock group Rush, Tom Sawyer, where they say, changes aren't permanent, but change is? Man, that could be the motto for 2020. Let's talk about change coming up. Hi, welcome back to Leading from the Basement. I'm Jeremy, and I wanted to take a minute to talk about change. Now, we all know the cliches about change is, changes aren't constant, but change is, and all of those things. And those things are all true. But in an organizational setting, in a leadership setting, there are some big mistakes that leaders often make when it comes to change. One of the biggest mistakes they make is they think keeping information from people will help. That will never help. Here's the secret to change. Employees need to hear about disruptive changes as soon as possible and be given as much information as possible. Now, I know lots of companies have this need to know philosophy, and sometimes there are legal concerns or confidentiality things that you legitimately can't share some information. But I honestly believe that companies can almost always share a lot more information than they normally do. And here's the reality. We're adults. Our employees are adults. We can do a lot of things. We can handle a lot of trials. We can go through a lot of situations, and employees often do for their companies. What damages the relationship between companies and employees is trust or the lack thereof. It's a two-way street. Oftentimes companies will say, I don't want to share this negative information because people might quit. Yeah, they might, right? But I guarantee you, if you hide that information from them, they will quit in the long run. So let's say you're closing a site that will impact hundreds of your employees. What do? Do you keep it secret? Do you wait till 2 weeks before to make the announcement? Or the employees come to work one day and the place is locked? No, you let them know as soon as possible what's happening. And you realize that the change management process is much like the grieving process. And you have to allow for your employees to go through that process. And what is that process? When a big disruptive change comes up, the first thing we want to do is deny. Oh, no, this can't be happening. That's the first thing we want to do. And then eventually, after the initial shock is over, we start to resign ourselves to the fact that this change is in fact happening. And then finally we will put our foot in the water. We'll test the waters and we'll say, okay, this change is happening. I'm going to make the best of it, and we'll give it a shot. And then hopefully, gradually at some point, we accept that change. Doesn't mean we'll like it, but we accept it. This change has happened. I'm living with it. Now, that's a natural process. It's like the grieving process. It's a natural process. If we deny employees the right to go through that natural process, we are doing irreparable harm to the relationship we have with those employees. So when there's going to be a big disruptive change, we need to make part of our plan some allowance for this. I'll call it a grieving process that our agents have to go through, our agents or employees. Okay? We have to allow for them to feel that sense of shock and anger and hurt. And we need to accommodate that. Maybe we need to have some meetings where employees are allowed to vent a little and allowed to ask questions and allowed to be frustrated. That's part of the process. We need to plan for that. That's why time is so important. And study after study after study shows this idea of future lock is real. It's true. The more time folks have, the better they are accepting the change. Yet that flies in the face of what many companies do, or what I've seen many companies do, where they keep the information secret till the last possible moment and then they roll it out. Okay? Not the best way to do it. Best way to do it is you share the information about a disruptive change as early as possible, and you share as much information, good or bad, as possible. And you allow for your employees to go through that change curve. What do you think? I'd love to hear your comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Leading from the Basement. Bye-bye.